Emerson wrote, "The earth laughs in flowers." That sounds pretty, doesn't it? I took a drive along the Minnesota River last week, and I did laugh with the earth to see the stands of tall purple flowers, maybe phlox, bursting out of the shadows of trees and bushes. There's a lot of it growing in the memory garden right here at the fellowship. I laughed in joy for sure, and I felt a bit tearful too, at such exuberant beauty, vivid in the bright sunlight. It was beautiful. Here in the upper Midwest, after a slow spring, wet and heat have begun to persuade the earth to yield up her flowers. The plants sprouting flowers cannot do without them any more than can the pollinators, any more than can the deer and the rabbits, any more than we can. Flowers are one bright and beautiful part of the whole system of life. Only a part, but an utterly necessary and mostly delightful part, if you don't succumb to the allergies. And I've been sneezing in threes this morning, so keep your fingers crossed. Allergies aside, the flowers I like best are not technically flowers. Mint of all varieties, what I learned to call bishop's weed, cottonwood trees, and aspen. All these plants send out runners underground, and new growth springs up in unexpected places, often in undesired places. Sometimes plants like this are called weeds. For years, I tried to weed out these plants, to control their growth, to stop them in their natural growing. These plants, the runners, they can be hard on a garden, that patch of organized planting we design with purpose. Roses are in, dandelions are out. Rhubarb is in, not the nettles so much. Those plants, those weeds, unless you plant them purposefully, they infest our gardens. They destroy the beauty we are trying to create. But the fact is, we humans aren't the originators of beauty. Beauty always already exists. It is our reality. And if we're lucky, we can participate with that beauty. Beauty is the interdependent web of which we are a part and never apart from. And it doesn't just mean pretty. I don't mean just the roses and the rhubarb. I mean the dandelions and the nettles too, the mint and the bishop's weed. I mean all of it, all of the diversity of life, all of it. Even the parts we might wish to dismiss because they don't fit neatly into our idea of a garden. Those gardens in our landscape and those gardens in our minds and our habits. Beauty is our ground of being, and we are fortunate when we realize this. In her novel, The Secret Garden, which I read as a child and that still sticks with me, by Frances Hodgson Burnett, she wrote, "If you look the right way, you will see that the whole world is a garden." Certainly, we may imagine a garden to be that deliberately and humanly cultivated patch of earth, purposely filled with the variety of blooming flowers and tasty vegetables, offering our eyes and bodies the array of nutrients we need for spiritual, mental, and physical sustenance. And yet a garden may simply be any patch of plants, yielding the beauty of liveliness and the love of the tender and the resilient. Western plant biologists are just beginning to understand what indigenous biologists have known for generations, that any patch of plants, including a garden, is a community. We tend our gardens to get them into the shape that appeals to us, but left to their own devices, A garden will orchestrate and coordinate among the different plant species, sharing resources to create an equilibrium of health for the whole. Within the human garden, a community nurtured by commitment and nourished by love, you will find a marvelous complex of differentiation. We are drawn to love, and how we love is part of that differentiation. How our bodies and spirits express gender or don't. How our brains work and process information, neurotypically or neurodivergently. How we privilege logic or body knowledge or emotional connection as we gauge our experience in relationship to the experience of others. Those are just a few of the beautiful and valuable contrasts among us, bringing liveliness to our whole community. All the colors and beingness of all people now taking their place in the sun, working to ensure liberation and thriving. Like in a garden of plants, our diversity enables the whole to thrive. When some of us are resilient to changes, we help others to have faith that those challenges can be met. When some of us practice forbearance to adversity, we help others endure what might seem unendurable. When some of us speak truth to power regardless of personal pain or gain or loss of privilege, we help others find their voices. When some of us learn to accept the truths of the silenced, we grow in compassion for ourselves and for those living differently in the world. When Dr. Chapek created the Flower Communion, he understood that the format had to be one that would not alienate any who had forsaken other religious traditions. He turned to the native beauty of the Czech countryside for elements of a communion that would be genuine to the people of that place. The Flower Communion reflects Chapek's understanding that in hard and frightening times, we too easily divide from one another, judge one another, even seek to kill one another. He acknowledged that relationship is challenging across our differences, but vitally necessary for our living together on this earth and flourishing as both individuals and as a species interdependent with each other and with the evolved environment. He did, as we do, feel that a higher power of goodness calls us to be in unity when division beckons. Emerson wrote, "The earth laughs in flowers." That sounds pretty. Yet Emerson was warning us to attend to what really matters in life, to be a part of the all, not dominating over, to recognize the shortness of our lives and to rejoice in our time together. May these flowers remind us that beauty is all around us, even in the worst of times. May we remember that flowers grow in groups and clusters, many along stems and branches, taking companionship from one another that are like and ones that are different. May they remind us that human beings are resilient in the face of disaster when we turn to community and to compassion for each other. This morning when you came to the fellowship, I know you looked for a flower. I know there aren't that many around right now. There certainly weren't many in my garden, but that's okay. Because maybe you took one from your yard, some of you did, or maybe you took one from along the road, or maybe you took one from a florist. That's good too, from a rose bush in someone else's driveway maybe, I don't know. From many sources, from these many different flowers have come, these flowers. Some of them came from Hy-Vee. A lot of them came from Hy-Vee. They're arranged here, symbolizing the extravagance of nature. For as various as these flowers are, These do not begin to exhaust nature's inventiveness in creating forms and colors and beauty. And what nature has done for flowers, nature has done for us. We too are the products of nature's extravagance. Each of us is unique, and mingled together, interacting, we do not become less unique, but rather find our uniqueness heightened. Here in this place, here in this human community, we find the full dimensions of our individuality, the richer meaning of our existence, the profound delight of this world and our existence in this world. And so I invite you, if you wish, to come forward now and take a flower. Take a different flower from the one you brought, and take it and give it to the person behind you. A symbol of our willingness to share with each other the beauty and bounty of the world. Take a flower as a symbol of your participation in the community of this congregation, of your participation in the community of humankind, your participation in the community of all living things, your participation in the universal community. And if you didn't bring a flower, take one anyway and give it to the person behind you. Take a flower as a symbol that beauty and grace and love and joy are not matters of reciprocity. In this world, we cannot earn or deserve that which is most important. It comes to us as a gift. Therefore, knowing how to receive is fully as important as knowing how to give.